Welcome to the critique. Today we're looking at Case File Mark, which is a clinical journal entry about a software developer who realizes he's basically running his father's abusive programming.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff. It's really about generational trauma, but seen through this tech lens, a ghost in the machine.
Exactly. A ghost in the machine. So let's just get right into it. A key thing here is the loss of control, but I felt a bit of whiplash reading that transition between the trigger, the spilled milk, and his analysis.
You and me both. It's way too fast.
Right? It jumps from this really visceral physical moment straight to him intellectualizing it, as a childhood mental state.
And that's the first big friction point for me. The analysis itself is sharp. He's clearly a smart guy, but we're pulled out of the horror of the moment. We skip the the physiological takeover.
Oh, that moment right down.
We have to. The writer's going for psychological realism, and to get that, you need to live in the somatic dissonance. That's the disconnect between the mind and the body. We need to feel him get kicked out of the driver's seat.
The text has that line, "a ghost in my vocal cords," which is a great image.
It's a fantastic image, but it's doing too much heavy lifting on its own. I want to know what that feels like, physically. I mean, it's not just a metaphor, it's a biological event happening to him.
Okay, so give me an example. How do we expand on that without it sounding, too clinical?
You focus on the resistance. If there's a ghost in his vocal cords, is his chest constricting against his will? Is the air pushing out of his lungs before he gives the command? That's the real terror of it.
It's not just that he yelled, it's that his own body hijacked him to do it.
Precisely. It yelled through him. And think about the sound. The text says, the sound, my sound. But there's a chance here to play with sensory delay.
What do you mean? Like he hears it with a lag?
Exactly. In moments like that, there's often this split second where your brain hears the shout as an external noise before it clicks, oh God, that was me. That's where the horror is. Describing that split second sells the whole possession thing so much more effectively.
The piece mentions a nanosecond of stress just before he snaps.
Yeah, and that nanosecond is just kind of glossed over. We need to freeze frame it. Don't just tell us it was a nanosecond. Describe it. Does the room tunnel? Does his skin get hot?
So we're basically saying, take that one little phrase and explode it into a full paragraph of sensory chaos.
Yes, because if you do that, you're reinforcing that this is a biological override, a survival program from his childhood kicking in. If you rush it, he's just a guy with a bad temper. If you slow it down, he's a victim of his own hardware.
And that distinction is everything. It makes the reader terrified for him, not just judging him.
That's the goal.
This actually brings me right to the next point, which is Mark's identity as a lead software developer. It's mentioned, but does the journal entry really sound like it was written by one?
Honestly, not really. Not specifically.
He uses words like program, default operating system, things like that.
Which are fine, but they're sort of generic now. My grandmother talks about her phone's operating system. It doesn't feel like the language of a man who lives and breathes code all day.
And that feels like a huge missed opportunity. The whole tragic irony is a man who controls complex systems for a living is being controlled by one he can't fix.
Totally. And the way to fix that is to get more specific with the metaphor. We need to weaponize his persona against him.
Okay, I see that. So let's talk specifics. The text says his vow evaporating.
Right. Evaporating is poetic, it's a nature word, but Mark's a coder. What's the coding equivalent? Is it a runtime error, a stack overflow?
Or legacy code.
Yes! Legacy code is perfect. In tech, that's the old, messy code someone else wrote years ago. It's a nightmare to work with because if you change one thing, the whole system might crash.
That's an incredible metaphor for generational trauma. His father wrote the code, and now Mark is stuck with it.
Exactly. And if he thinks of his father's influence as legacy code that has, say, root access to his nervous system, we suddenly understand his helplessness. He can't just uninstall it. He doesn't have the admin permissions.
That's so good. It reframes the whole struggle. It's not just healing, it's refactoring his own mind.
And it makes the spilled milk so much more powerful. For a developer who lives by logic and order, what is a puddle of white milk on a clean floor?
It's chaos. It's entropy.
It's a data leak. It's a system failure. His developer brain can't stand the disorder, and that intolerance is what triggers the pre-written script to restore order through anger. It makes the rage a desperate, failed attempt to restore system integrity.
So he's trying to debug his own mind with the tools from his day job and failing miserably.
And that failure is the tragedy.
Okay, let's shift focus from Mark to the other person in that kitchen, the son, Leo. I feel like we get a really strong sense of Mark's internal chaos, but Leo comes across a bit like a prop.
I agree. The line, Leo nodded too quick, it's good, it's effective, but is it enough?
I don't think it is. I mean, the piece is called The Mirror Trait. If we don't see the reflection clearly, the title doesn't quite land. We're spending all our time on the projector, not the screen.
That's a great way to put it. To get that severe gravity the writer is aiming for, the damage to the son has to be as vivid as Mark's own realization. We need to see the trauma being installed in real time.
So the suggestion is to zoom in on Leo's microexpressions. We need to see him acting not just like a scared kid, but like a 7-year-old Mark.
Yes, the mirror isn't just Mark acting like his father. It's Leo starting to act like his father's childhood victim. The cycle has to complete itself visually for the reader.
Let's look at the description of his frozen face.
Frozen is a bit of a cliché. We can do better. Does he hold his breath? Does his gaze dart to the floor or the wall, anywhere but his father's eyes?
That's specific avoidance. That's a learned behavior. It's a survival tactic.
Exactly. And the spoon clutched in his fist. Is that a defensive posture? Is he bracing himself? But the real moment, the place to just break the reader's heart, is after the apology.
Where Mark says, I installed the same alarm system in my son.
Right. We need to see the calibration of that system right then. Mark apologizes. He says the words. But what does Leo do?
If he just accepts it and moves on, all the tension is gone.
It's gone. What if instead we see Leo scanning Mark's face after the apology, checking for tells, checking for microexpressions, trying to see if it's really safe? That action proves the apology was ash.
It proves that the trust is already broken.
Yes, Leo is the beta tester who just found the fatal flaw in the new software update. Mark thought he'd patched the bug in himself, but Leo's reaction proves a crash is still there. And now Leo's learning to work around the bug.
If I move too fast, the system crashes, so I must not move too fast.
That is the alarm system coming online. If we see that calculation in the boy's eyes, the tragedy is visceral. We feel it.
That's incredibly powerful. Okay, let's move to the ending. The final critique is about how the core psychological insight is delivered.
The big revelation.
Right, the text states it very plainly. I'm a terrified 7-year-old playing the part of the angry father.
Which is the thesis of the whole piece.
It is, but saying it so plainly, it feels a little too neat, a little diagnostic.
It does. It sounds like something he can conclude after years of therapy, not 10 minutes after an episode while his hands are still shaking.
So what's the fix? We can't just get rid of the insight.
No, you don't get rid of it, you fracture it. Instead of stating it like a neat conclusion, the writing itself should start to break down. The gravity should come from the confusion of his identity, not just the naming of it.
What does that kind of fracture look like on the page?
Well, instead of saying I am my father's echo, describe the memory confusion. Does the memory of spilled juice from 25 years ago suddenly feel more real, more immediate than the milk that was spilled 5 minutes ago?
Oh, I like that. Blurring the timeline.
Exactly. Make the reader wonder which kitchen we're even in. Is this 2024 or 1999? And that reflection in the black kitchen window, blur that too.
Is he seeing his father's face?
Or is he seeing his own face morphing into his father's? A brief visual hallucination is so much stronger than just saying, I look like my dad.
And what about that final line? I don't know how to shut the fucking noise off.
It's a good, punchy line, but right now it just sounds like adult frustration.
How do we tie that back to the childhood mental state?
You reframe it around the child's helplessness. The noise isn't just anger. The noise is the child's overwhelming, hard-coded survival program screaming at him.
So it's not a man who's angry that he's yelling, it's a child who's terrified because he's been forced to hold the gun.
Yes. The ending should be about the horror of a child who's been handed a weapon and told to guard the house. and now he doesn't know how to put it down. That's infinitely more tragic than an adult with a bad temper.
It shifts the entire tone from I am angry to I am haunted.
And I am trapped. The childhood mental state isn't a choice, it's a prison. He shouldn't have the answer yet. He should only have the error message.
He should only have the error message. I think that really sums it up.
It does. We want to read the crash log, not the patch notes. The patch notes come much, much later. This piece is about the crash.
Okay, I think this is a really solid set of critiques. It's a tough rewrite, I think. It asks for a lot of vulnerability, but the payoff could be immense.
For sure. It's about taking what's already a sharp piece and honing it until it cuts bone.
So, to recap the plan for our listener. First, deepen that somatic possession. Slow the nanosecond down. Make us feel the ghost in the machine before you explain it.
Right. Stay at the crime scene. Don't rush to the courtroom.
Second, really lean into the software developer persona. Use those specific, tragic metaphors. Legacy code, runtime errors, root access.
Let the metaphor do the work for you.
Third, mirror the trauma vividly in the son. Show us his new alarm system being calibrated. Let us see him finding the bugs in his father.
Show us his eyes.
And finally, structure that ending around identity confusion. Let the voice fracture, let the timeline blur, leave us with the error message.
Leave us in the dark with him.
We invite you to refine the draft with these ideas and send it back to us. We would love to see the next iteration of Case File Mark.
Can't wait to read it.
Thanks for listening. This has been The Critique.